Hi everyone, I am Lotus of Judah 1111 Ministry International, and you're here at a divine time. I really appreciate those of you that are tuned in. I want to go ahead and get into this collective experience, and that is the impact of suppressing your emotions. Okay, in particular, as a Black woman, okay, and how this affects our health, particularly related to autoimmune diseases. Now, this is a really big deal because I was unaware a couple of years ago of how important it is for you to keep your emotions intact. Okay, and I came across this in my quest to truly show up authentically myself, okay? Really speaking my truth. And so let's go ahead and begin with the truth that we as Black women, we often navigate a lot of societal expectations. Oftentimes, people just assume that we are informable, that we are supposed to be strong at all times. And especially from a historical standpoint, this lends into why now a lot of us have autoimmune illnesses because there's a correlation between your emotional state, your emotional well being or illness, and what manifests in the physical. So, when I mean autoimmune disease, I mean conditions relating to your heart health, to your physical health. A lot of these things manifest from how you're feeling emotionally. So, while we are often seen as unshakable pillars within our communities, and some of us, we're in positions where we gotta carry certain responsibilities. It just is what it is. So while resilience is a strength, when we move into suppressing our emotions, if this is to maintain being on a job, if this is maintaining being around certain people, this sort of imbalance when it comes to maintaining, keeping everything together, it has a cost. Okay. So when we silence our pain or our anger or even our joy, when we inadvertently silence who we truly are, aspects of ourselves is going to play out in the physical. Okay. So over time, emotional suppression, it will manifest in physical ways. So for instance, you may have, get a health check and you figure out that you have like issues pertaining to your breathing, issues pertaining to your heart health, and a whole host of other things, okay? Furthermore, when you look into the science of it all, okay, research has shown that emotional suppression contributes to a whole host of the development of autoimmune issues. Okay, when you are not showing up truly who you are, and again, for a lot of us, it's a survival mechanism. If you go into work and people are, you know, displaying microaggressions, some even displaying macroaggressions, you are just there for a check, right? So there's a lot of things that you're going to have to be in a very testosterone driven environment when you're in these environments. And as women, okay, we are emotionally centered. You're not necessarily equipped to carry on the level of stress that men have to carry on. So if you're in these environments, you're already operating at a deficit because aspects of yourself is going to have to shut down the emotionality of it all just so that you can make it to get paid and sustain yourself. Okay. And so, in order to combat this, especially in particular, okay, I'm speaking from my own experience as a Black woman. Again, I realize that there's so many different type of people that view my content, and I'm not trying to speak against anybody, but I have to speak to my demographic. Okay. That's the experience that I'm speaking from. So that's the lens that I'm going to be speaking from. So, take offense to it. That's on you. You're welcome to leave. But if you have the insight to think expansively, okay, and not think it's all about you, I have to focus on my own people at times. So, as I mentioned, for Black women, we often experience a diverse level of stress. Okay. things that other people can't even consider going through. Other than our men, they may get it, okay? But the impact is something very profound. And so when it comes to on a constant basis, you're dealing with constant stress, okay? Fears of being unalive, fears of being deleted. This level of elevated cortisol, okay, it brings about the suppression of your immune system, which leads to health challenges, inflammation, okay, and a whole host of different deficiencies. So when our bodies are in this constant state of fight, flight, or freeze, or fawn, this is bringing about the suppression of your emotions. And when your emotions are also unprocessed, so say for instance you're at your job, your boss is saying something that is just straight up disrespectful, you can't respond in the way in which comes to your first mind. So therefore you got to suppress that emotion. Unresolved emotions, okay, has a health consequence. So in our society, according to Western medicine doesn't focus on the spiritual pain body. When you look at Eastern medicine, in particular, like Chinese, any type of Asian medicine, they focus more so on the spiritual aspect as well. And the reason why this is important to understand is because this is why a lot of people are having so many illnesses and they're just dealing with it. They're only dealing with the symptoms through medication. They're not dealing with the core of why they're having these ailments, because they're not focusing on the spiritual aspect of why it is that you've developed heart disease or chronic stress or a whole other host of things. Even the big C, cancer, is caused by unresolved emotions, unresolved resentments. Okay? And so as I mentioned, if you're in this situation and you're dealing with so and so said this to me at work, or I went this place and this person, pulled out in front of me, all these things add up. So this is why it's important, especially not to hold grudges. I know we think we have a point to prove, and we're like, oh well, I'm just gonna hold on to this anger, this resentment. But what ends up happening is that it's not only accelerating your aging, it is going to manifest into a physical ailment. According to the work of Dr. Jewel Pilgrim, who she is an MD, she speaks about how when you have unresolved emotions about things, you not only cause illness and ailments within yourself, the whole term dis-ease represents dis-ease. You're not comfortable. You're not in a flow state within your emotions. Okay? So it's important to focus on working through that, working through when you're experiencing uncomfortable feelings, or if you're around people that are saying things that are hurting you. Now, if you're not in a position where you can defend yourself, you may feel like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. But if you're not doing anything that to get that emotion exercise out of your body, it can sit up and manifest into something worse. But I want to share a few empowering truths, okay? We're not defined by the expectations or the challenges that we're faced, okay? We do have the power. This is not just a doom and gloom. If you're in a position and you feel as if you're carrying a lot, okay, there's things that you can do that could help you be alleviated of dealing with societal pressures, microaggressions, okay, having a lot of these things experience in your life by just simply moving into the power of rewriting the narrative for yourself, okay? Prioritizing your emotional well-being, your physical well-being. So if that means that you're going to have to move to a different location, if that means you're going to have to disassociate from certain people, you're going to have to detach from certain things, if you're going to have to shift what it is that you're consuming, not only things that you're eating, but the things that you're taking in, guarding your eye gates, guarding your ear gates. these things play a factor into why you're having a manifestation of these illnesses. The best healthcare is preventative care. So, of course, you can go to a doctor and get treatment for this or that. But let's face it, within this society, a lot of things are treated through just managing the symptoms, not necessarily getting to the core. And oftentimes, the core has a spiritual element to it. So, it's so important to really get into your faith work. Okay, connecting to the Most High, whatever that means for you. For me, I'm speaking of the Most High, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, but to each his own. But definitely beginning to truly acknowledge how you feel about something can literally save your life. Really showing up authentically to the best of your ability of who you are. Okay, giving yourself the permission to really feel and express yourself fully. And I want to get into sharing a few affirmations that is going to help you step into this new phase in your life where you're actually able to really show up for yourself because you're your best advocate. Now, the first affirmation is my feelings are valid and I express myself freely. Now, remember, your emotions are not a burden. And if anybody is making you feel that way, those are not your people. Your emotions are your signals. Okay, they deserve attention and care. And by embracing how you feel about something, you're not only honoring your truth, you're honing in on your intuition, you're honing in on your spiritual discernment. Remember, your discernment, your intuition is like your internal GPS system. It's a way in which Holy Spirit, God, is speaking through you. Some people may even call it your conscious, okay? But think about your body, and for instance, think about that analogy with a GPS system. If your GPS system is going off, you're going down the road, you're supposed to get off on this exit. It's telling you, hey, next 2 miles, you're gonna get off on exit 111. Okay. You ignore it. What happens with the GPS? The GPS is gonna continue to try to redirect you. Liken it to what's happening in your body. If you're experiencing something and it makes you uncomfortable, let me give you some insights because some people have been so out of tune with just trying to make it in society to the point where they're numb and they're not even aware of what does it feel like when your intuition is giving you red flags. So for instance, your heart rate may speed up. These are just a few physiological signs. You may feel like, for instance, your palms may get sweaty. You may feel like what is perceived as like having a little bit of anxiety, like you're feeling a rush or something. These are just some of the signs from a physiological standpoint that's going to trigger you that, okay, I need to honor something within myself right now. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So, this next affirmation, I release the need to carry everything alone. All right, so I get it. Some of you, for whatever reason, it could be conditioning. It could have been survival mode. Okay, you may have been put in a position where you may have depended on some people and they may have fallen through. Okay, but this level of hyper independence is not natural. Everybody needs somebody in some aspect. And again, you have to really check what it is you're going through. Could it be that you're hyper independent because that is a way in which you shield yourself? It could be a trauma response. Okay. And so you're not obligated to bear the weight of the world alone. And even if you're in a situation where you feel like, okay, I'm not even going to ask nobody for help because people have snaked me so bad. I get it. I've been there, but it's not about you begging or putting yourself in a vulnerable position. But if you simply just ask the Most High, ask God for help, ask for support, He's going to send somebody that's going to be able to assist you. Okay? And by you also being able to really be honest with your emotions and understand that pretending as if you're so strong, you don't need nobody, you're doing a disservice to yourself. Okay? It's okay to be honest with yourself. And again, it's healthy to be honest with your emotions and know that having the ability to be soft in situations that have supposed to made you harden, that's real strength. Lean into that. Lean into self-love. Lean into being strengthened through who you are. Your feminine qualities are a blessing. It is not a disadvantage. Okay? It's soft power. Lean into that. Okay, let's move into the third one. So, I am worthy of rest, healing, and joy. So, let this affirmation just really marinate for a moment, because this is a reminder for you to take care of yourself. It's not a luxury, it is a necessity. And when I say take care of yourself, I'm not talking about the woo woo stuff like going to spas or to the sauna or to, yeah, those are aspects of self care. But just simply taking the time to really take care of yourself, whether that is taking more time to relax. Sometimes you may need to sleep in, take you a nice bath. Okay, allow yourself to hydrate as often as possible. This is you modeling the importance of really loving and valuing yourself. And again, if you're wanting to attract love, if you're not giving love to yourself, how can somebody else actually love you when you're not doing that for yourself? Do you get what I mean? Hopefully you're following. Okay, again, thanks for those of you that are here, and again, like and subscribe. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, now as we move forward, let's go forward with speaking authentically as a Black woman. Okay, this can be something that can really liberate you. And I'm not speaking about in a radical way, but just speaking how you feel. Because it is a challenge, because there has been a lifelong, for many of us, this could have been decades long, of stereotypes and expectations that we've had to hold. And so when you get to a place and you realize that in order for you to truly, deeply be liberated, it's going to require you to shed the mask of feeling as if you have to be this extra uber strong person at all time, that, nothing gets to you. A lot of these things could be counterproductive, honestly. You do not have to shoulder the burden of everything on your own, okay? And in doing so, when you actually begin to create space for you to actually heal, because if you're carrying hostility, if you're carrying resentment around with you, that's baggage. That's representing you're not healing. For example, if you're saying stuff like, I don't need nobody, or I don't trust nobody, that's signs that you're unhealed. That's not healthy. Okay? So as we move closer towards shifting our life forward, connecting more so spiritually, I just really want to invite you to really reflect on some of the things that I've shared here with you tonight. I was glad to go ahead and create this live to share in regard to emotions, because it's something that's needed. Okay, we got to really get into the brunt work of what it is that we need to be shifting forward. Instead of this circular type of dialogue, we need to focus more so on being very solution oriented, because it's just like I'm seeing a lot of dialogue in regarding to our community. She did this, he did. It's just like all this back and forth blame game, when people need to really focus on introspection, focus on working with yourself. Okay, there's a lot of healing that needs to take place. And so another thing too is it's important to also commit to breaking the cycle of emotional suppression. Okay, when you begin to honor the connection between your emotions and your health, that's jackpot. That is going to really up level your life. Because sometimes you may be wondering, like, okay, I'm seeming to be doing the right things, but if you're emotionally carrying around the baggage of resentment and hate, and look, I get it. Some people gonna do some horrible things towards you, and you may feel like somehow by you keeping that narrative alive, it is somehow shielding you from that person doing something to you. But what ends up happening is that these people probably don't forgot all the crap they done did towards you, but yet you're walking around carrying the baggage of these unresolved emotions, which will unfortunately manifest into illness, and you don't deserve to deal with that. I also want to share a little bit more in regard to the liberation of truly letting go. And I want to refer to this song by this artist. Now, this was some years ago, okay? But this artist made a song called Bag Lady, okay? Now, you may be familiar with it, okay? So it's Erica Badu's song. And I just want to touch on this because it's really relevant, okay? So just follow me here. So, at the core of this song is literally like a metaphor. It's more so like a poem, okay? And the song Bag Lady is more so of like a metaphor of emotional and physical baggage, symbolizing, past traumas, expectations, unresolved issues that we're carrying along that's weighing us down. Because in the song, she says, okay, bag lady, you're gonna hurt your bag. You're dragging all this baggage. Basically, it's like a call to action, like a cautionary note to let go of things that you're carrying. Okay? Because it's important to understand that the things that we are holding on to, whatever it is, it has a way of being a stronghold in our life. The things that we try to feel as if we're gonna, when I say hold on to, like if you're continuing to speak about an offense or hold on to things that you have experienced, it is going to keep you in bondage. Like you're imprisoning yourself by holding on to these things, not just from a physical standpoint, but also spiritually. And another thing about the lyrics within this particular song, like it's a very powerful message. Um, it's just a homage to really letting go, because the song is a reminder that if you clinging on to regret, if you're clinging on to past pain, all these things, it is going to prevent you from actually balancing out your life. It's going to prevent you from actually being in the fulfillment of what it is that you want. So, for instance, the metaphor of the bag she was speaking about is anger, fear, okay, unhealthy dynamics that may play out in life, okay? And so it's clear to understand that sometimes we do not have even a lot of self empathy. Sometimes we don't have a lot of self compassion for ourselves. Sometimes we're so busy with doing everything that we put ourselves last. It is important to prioritize yourself. Not only prioritizing yourself, but prioritize the connection with the Most High, with Jesus Christ, with Yeshua, okay? To each his own, whoever it is that you believe in. But you definitely have to have a spiritual connection to transcend the things that you're dealing with on a physical level in this world. And this is also going to be necessary for you to continue to grow, because literally, if you move into a space of letting go and detaching from all of the expectations that oftentimes were put on you by others, this is going to allow you the energy, it's going to allow you the ability to tap into really reclaiming what is rightfully yours. That is having peace, that is having space for you to actually enjoy life to the best of your ability. And also, as I get into a little bit more into the underlying messages regarding the song Bag Lady, like, it's important to know that it's okay to start over. Sometimes you could be in circumstances and situations where you feel like you've had to start over 2, 3, 4, 5 times or more, but never get into a place where you feel like you can't start over again. Life is about evolving. If you're not constantly evolving in some aspect, then you're doing the opposite. Okay? And so, literally, it may be time for you, if you're going through certain things, to really move into, as we talked about already, regarding speaking your truth, not suppressing your emotions, really And when I say speak your truth, I'm not saying be belligerent, act a fool with people, but no, just simply say what it is on your heart. Don't allow yourself to carry on emotions or hurt or pain and not express it in some way. And it's not always about you speaking, it's about you allowing yourself to really process those emotions. This could also be you journaling. Okay, journaling is something that really works for me. So just take the time, whatever is on your mind, just put it on paper. But anything that you can literally create a clean slate for yourself so that you can embrace actually experiencing the life that the Most High has promised for us all, okay? It's important now. Like, we have to really move into a space of healing and balance so that we can actually have harmony within our lives. Okay, it's possible. So I wanted to just come in and share that with you. And until next time, I'll see you here again. Stay true.